Alright, so the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is there were three other types of special mixtures. Very special types of mixtures. The one is solutions. So let's write that out. One is solutions. What's the other? Yes. Suspensions. And what was the last really special one? Yes? Oh, yeah, colloids. What is a solution? Okay, I can't separate them physically, right? They are chemically bonded together in the solution. So, for example, in this flask right here, I have water with salt at the bottom. Now, as I keep mixing this together, what's happening with the salt? It's dissolving. Okay, so now I've got sodium chloride, right? And no matter what I do, if I put this through even the finest tooth strainer,
It's still going to come out
it's still going to come out as salt water. That salt is dissolved in the water.
What if you put that in?
Okay. So there's no way for that salt to get out of the water physically. And that's important when we think about solutions. You cannot separate the materials physically. Okay. So what is a suspension?
It's just holding it in there
Until what?
it settles.
Yeah, until it settles, so gravity takes over, right?
Yep.
So right here I have a little bit of silica black sand, so same thing as in the fish tank.
Oh, gross.
Okay. And when I first put together that fish tank, I had to put the sand in. So I started dumping it in like handfuls. And it looks like just this black cloud. But given enough time, the pieces fall out of suspension. So guys, think about suspension. What does that mean?
Eventually goes
Yeah, what does it mean to suspend something?
Like this is held in the air.
Yeah, to hold it up in the air, right? So we think about in a solution, the suspension means it's being held up in somewhere in that column. Okay, and in fact, you guys, it might look like everything's settled up, but there's still a lot of stuff that's up here in suspension. All right, it takes a very long time for that stuff to settle out. So in fact, when I put together the fish tank, I had to wait at least 3 or 4 days for all that stuff to finally settle down on the bottom. So it would definitely take a while when it's first going.
Wouldn't it kill the fish if it got
That's why you don't put the fish in. Usually if you're going to set up a fish tank, you let it run empty. Right? So you put all your stuff in it, get all set, and then you run the tank, and you let it run empty for, they tell you about 2 months before you put fish in it. I know, I don't do it either. It's a little crazy. So that's a suspension. What is a colloid? Actually, I had another example here. Here's another example. What do you guys have, like Italian or like a vinaigrette at home?
Me.
Well, I feel like, or what's sitting right here in the bottom of the barrel? Smell the junk? Yeah. It's like all the seeds and stuff that looks like it's pomegranate seeds. So if I take this right now, and there's a little bit of oil at the top, so we're separated out by densities. The dense coarse stuff is at the bottom. Then the vinaigrette, and I have all this crappy oil at the top. It's so disgusting. But if I shake it, not if I shake it up, now everything's in suspension. It's all mixed together.
Well, your oil is already separated.
Yeah, it's supposed to be there today. Okay? But that's an example of suspension. And given enough time, the stuff will settle back out. I'll get all the coarse stuff at the bottom, the red stuff in the middle, and then the oil sitting on top. Some of you guys that bought peanut butter, if you let it sit in your cupboard long enough, you might get the oil settling out on top. Okay? It looks gross. Just stir it in.
That's what I do.
Yep. Okay. Well, now, what is a colloid? Okay, yes, milk's a perfect example of a colloid, but what is it?
It's like a kind of spitball. It's like a mixture that can't be separated.
Yes, it is a super suspension. It's where the particles are so fine that they will not fall out of suspension. No matter how long you let them sit there, they will not fall out of suspension. And think about a natural colloid. What happens with this is because it's so uniform throughout, it bends light in a lot of different directions. And so a perfect example of this would be fog. This is why you don't want to drive with your high beams out in the fog because yeah, the light or the water that makes up the fog starts spreading your light everywhere, and then therefore you don't get a good picture. But if you keep on the low beams where they're angled at the ground and down out of the fog, you actually get a better view of what's on the road. So, okay, so that basically wraps that up.
Your mouth, you're not